Out. 15 love.
The 23-year-old from Las Vegas, now ranked 22nd in the world.
30 love.
Career earnings for Andre Agassi, 10 years younger, and about, well, not quite, but just about $15 million less career earnings. Close to his first ace of the match. 30 love.
Their on-court earnings, I would think he'd be pretty much up to Lendl as far as on-court activity is concerned, because he's been a marketing mogul for the companies that he's been involved with. They've done a tremendous job. Yes. So off-court activities, I would think that Andre Agassi makes a lot more money in endorsements than does Ivan Lendl.
The point Fred brought up in the top of the telecast, how much this means to Andre Agassi to at least get to the finals of this tournament, to possibly get a seed at the U.S. Open, really could be the key to the match. It means that much to him.
Game Agassi.
Agassi holds as we have started this quarterfinal match at the Connecticut Tennis Center. We'll be right back to New Haven.
Love 15.
I think it's absolutely vital that Ivan Lendl have a great serving day. You know, he'll need to sort of do a flashback, you know, from about 1985 when he got in an awful lot of very big first serves.
15
like that.
The 7th meeting between the two, and Lendl has taken 5 of the previous 6.
Yeah, in fact, the first 5 came before Agassi he was only 19 years old. In fact, the very first time they played was in Stratton Mountain. Ivan Lendl beat him. That's when it was the Volvo in Stratton. He said afterwards that he was a haircut and a forehand.
30-50.
Ivan Lendl, interestingly enough, you talk about his serving, Mary, he is the #1 in the event here. He's won 91% of points when he's got that first serve in. So it's very important that he does get that big delivery in. Otherwise, Agassi gets a good look at that second serve. And the strength of Andre Agassi is that returner serve. Today, the way Ivan Lendl's strategy as far as his tennis is concerned, he goes for a lot more on his second serve, so you're going to see a couple of double faults creep in.
$30 all.
Doesn't like those long extended rallies anymore.
He set it up beautifully, taking Lendl so wide out of the court.
He was patient in doing so, and it's going to be interesting to see how the tactics work out. Look where Lendl goes. He is nearly into the bleachers when he hits this, so he opens up the court. Agassi gets him there, and Lendl finally rips it there, but he's again about 8 feet outside of the sidelines, and he says, hey, I can't run back there again.
A break opportunity.
That's the strategy now from Pancho Segura, his new coach. That one has taken longer, and Segura won't be happy with that, because on second serves he's trying to cut Agassi's errors down on second serves, but he's been very patient, Agassi, in the point before, working the ball around, and that's strategy that Agassi has talked to Segura about.
I really feel this match will be not a test of strokes as much as a test of mind. I mean, Agassi should win this one, and Segura has been trying to teach him in just the few weeks that he's had him as his pupil, that he's got to stay concentrated and stay intense, and then he really should beat Ivan Lendl.
Game Lendl.
A nice hold from Ivan Lendl. Let's face it, I mean, Lendl's chance, he can hurt Andre Agassi on the first ball of any point. He can hurt Agassi with his serve, as he just did in that last point. He can hurt Agassi with his return, if he returns well enough. But a long, protracted point, and this man, he used to dominate the baseline against any other opponent. He would come in second against Agassi. I think he loses control of those long baseline rallies now. He loses court position. He gets himself behind the baseline, and he would get in trouble.
So Agassi could not capitalize on the break opportunity as we're even at 1 in the opening set.
I remember watching Ivan Lendl play Boris Becker in the final of the Seiko in Tokyo a few years ago when Becker had just come on the scene. But even at that stage, Lendl was the one that could out-hit Becker. And it was interesting just to see Becker try and test his skills against against Lendl, and he comes off second best. Tony Roach, who arrived over here this week from Australia, he has looked after Ivan Lendl for many years. Coach Roach, very popular amongst the Australians and amongst all the players.
30-15.
30-15. Agassi off 8 weeks, but he has picked up a couple of singles titles this year in San Francisco and Scottsdale before the wrist injury. Then he reached the quarterfinals after the wrist injury at Wimbledon. Also, quarters at the Canadian Open. And then did a good job last week, losing to the eventual champion in Cincinnati in the semis to Michael Chang. Much better match record so far this year of 31-9, as opposed to what we talked about for Ivan Lendl so far this year. So Agassi holds quite easily once again and is up 2-1 in the opening set. Agassi on top 2-1 in the opening set as we remain on serve. The unforced errors belonging to Lendl.
That's what's happened to Ivan Lendl's game in recent years. There is so much more power than he ever used to face. Lendl was like Courier is these days, or Agassi. Not only was he a very hard hitter, but he was a consistently hard hitter. But these days, you'll see a lot more errors from him in the long rallies.
15 low.
In fact, Jim Courier is the only man who can really, I think, stay toe-to-toe in long baseline rallies with Andre Agassi.
Yeah, agreed.
He's not as spectacular as Agassi, but he is very solid.
Let's see if he goes for it once again on that second serve. 15 low.
13 low.
Looked like Agassi was trying to cheat in a little bit on that second serve and catch it early.
Well, again, that's a couple of missed second serves from Agassi, and that's what they've talked about. You got to cut down on those errors.
30 low.
Interesting start to this match because Lendl, normally when he plays against a net rusher, it's his second ace, just tees off in the early stages of a match, just rips the returns over that center strap, over the lowest part of the net, and forces you to sort of jab at volleys, and you start to make some errors. But Andre Agassi is not going to serve and volley. So Lendl has been forced to play a safer type of game at the start of this match. He's not going for quite as much. This is a return that catches Lendl. It's a good deep return from Agassi, and Lendl's forced to half volley. It's more of a defensive shot. He thought that may have been going long, and Agassi with the winner.
Lendl catches the tee. His third ace. And it's even at 2 on serve in the opening set. Thunderstorms in the forecast.
Lendl played his first Grand Slam event at the French in 1978. So he is a veteran of the tour. Agassi's first Grand Slam appearance was at the US Open in 1986.
Block 15.
And in a way, these two have similar Grand Slam histories, only in that Lendl was 0 for 4 before he finally broke through and won a Grand Slam title, the '84 French over McEnroe. And of course, it took Agassi. He was 0 for 3 before he finally won his first. Finally, I should say. That was last year. He's a young kid. He won Wimbledon, of course, last year.
Unforced error for Ivan Lendl. Then in win, Lendl and Agassi, and the difference in career titles.
Lendl's been out there, again, 8 years more than Agassi. And the important one for Lendl and Agassi, frankly, at this point, is the Grand Slam titles. Lendl, 3 U.S. Opens, 3 French Opens, 2 Australian Opens, 0 Wimbies. That's when it kills him. And of course, I think what galls him is that Agassi, the one title Agassi's won is one that Lendl will probably never win Wimbledon.
15-30.
These two are not Lodge brothers, to say the least. And I think that's another part of this match, a dynamic that you almost have to address, because Ivan Lendl tends to play better against guys he really feels like beating, and I think that's why he might be pretty intense about this match. And the same for Agassi.
Out. 15-14.
And trouble now for Andre Agassi, 2 break points. And you got to figure Lendl is really going to open up his shoulders at least in this first break point chance. He's got to rip one. Ooh, and he's got himself a second serve too.
An opportunity for Lendl to take control early. Can he capitalize? Outstanding second serve by Andre Agassi, but he couldn't take advantage of the short return. So the first break belongs to Ivan Lendl. Ivan Lendl with the first break of the match, serving at 3-2 as Agassi had 4 unforced errors in his last service game. Nice wide angle that serve. And Agassi completely out of position.
Well, Lendl won a tournament in Munich in April. It's been a pretty severe year for him, and he was a finalist in Philadelphia. You might have watched that one alongside us on ESPN, and he had to forfeit against Mark Woodford. Strained a back muscle, pulled a back muscle, and at the baseline just moved, and
15-all.
And his back went into spasm, so he was out for a few days. But since Wimbledon, it's been, or prior to Wimbledon, it's been a tough year for him.
9 of the last 12 belonging to Ivan Lendl. 15-all as he leads 3-2 up a break in the opening set. We were just talking about that early win this year for Ivan Lendl in Munich, but it's truly been a strange year for Ivan Lendl with so many early losses.
6 of 17 in the first round of tournaments this year, and what's worse than that, 5 of his last 7 tournaments he's been out very early.
Now can Agassi break back? 15-30. Getting a little cute up there.
I think it's a smart idea for Ivan Lendl against Agassi to change the pace and the spin of the ball. I don't think he can match speed with him, but yeah, this was a goofy shot. I'm sure he'd want it back. I mean, look at, he's on the baseline, so by the time that thing floated over, it was like a wounded butterfly. Agassi saw immediately that Lendl was going to go for another short ball, and he climbed all over it.
Double break point now for Andre Agassi.
Lendl tried to play with his mind a little bit there and psych him into the forehand down the line, and it didn't work with the drop shot. That's where he's been good this week on that first serve. He hasn't served and volleyed with it. He just throws it up and gets good timing, good rhythm on the serve, and leans into it.
He's faced only 4 break points. He's got another right now as it's 30-40. Will Agassi finally break through against Ivan Lendl? For Agassi after a very long point. We are back on serve and even at 3 in the opening set.
Very interesting rally, that one, the longest rally of the match. Lendl quite content as Samantha, Ivan Lendl's wife, looks on with Tony Roach. He was content to stay at the baseline, and it was finally the two-handed play of Agassi when he switched direction. Instead of going back to the backhand, he went to that forehand corner and drew an aggressive shot from Lendl that was too long.
Love 15.
Andre Agassi all week long, a very lighthearted approach to his routine this week. Entertaining the fans, entertaining himself, and keeping everybody alive at the Connecticut Tennis Center.
Oh, that's a terrible shot. Watch out.
Real break on the tape for Andre Agassi.
Lendl could have done a lot with this ball here, and what he tried to do here was a drop shot, and it was way up in the air. That was just, as soon as he hit that, he could have just walked back because he had no chance of winning that point.
15 all.
Pancho Segura and Wendy Stewart, Andre Agassi's girlfriend.
I thought it was interesting when I talked to Pancho Segura earlier this week, and Mary, you spoke with him in the stands as well. He really hadn't, in the last couple of weeks since he joined Andre Agassi, really worked on any shots with Agassi more than anything else, a game plan. He wanted to just talk strategy with Agassi.
That's what Agassi says. He hasn't even touched my strokes. He's trying to tell me what to do with them. And,
pretty good idea.
Well, yeah, this man has got a terrific tennis head. He loves discussing tennis, talking tennis theory, concept, what to do, you know. And I think he can really give Andre Agassi an awful lot and add to his game.
40-50.
Look at how matches turn around. Lendl on a run there when Agassi lost serve. He won 9 of 11 points or something like that. And then suddenly it switches the other way.
You can see the humidity getting to both players now. Very steamy conditions. Lendl constantly wiping his brow. Agassi asking for the towel to keep the hands dry.
Game Agassi.
Outstanding first serve with the wide angle. Agassi holds, and he leads in the opening set of his quarterfinal match, 4-3. Lendl serving with Agassi up 4-3.
Lendl's dropped 9 of the last 11 points. Prior to that, he'd won 9 of 11. So, big swing.
Love 15.
The power is still there behind the shots of Ivan Lendl, but as we mentioned when we saw him earlier this week, the accuracy is just missing. As we give you a match update by the numbers.
First serve percentage, both players not good. The winners, 6 of Lendl. He's been a little more aggressive. Agassi there, but Lendl's made the unforced error. Agassi's been rather patient today on the returns, keeping the ball in play.
Except for one game, really. I think Coach Segura would be pretty happy with how Agassi has approached this. I mean, you know, high pressure, low risk style. And that should beat Lendl. Again, look how far away Lendl is when he made the last stroke. And that's what the power hitters can do against this man. Force him to try to hit bigger shots from lesser positions. Of course, your winners are going to go down.
11 of the last 13 points now go to Agassi.
Each player with a break so far. Love 30.
Lendl's one chance in those long baseline rallies is perhaps to sort of bore Agassi off course, you know, but he'd have to keep spitting back an awful lot of balls. Andre Agassi against Amos Monsdorf last night played an absolutely brilliant 6-1 first set, and then he just kind of won the second set, just sort of stayed around. And oh boy, that's a bad miss from Ivan Lendl, drawing 2 more break points for Andre Agassi. You know, if Agassi can maintain his intensity level, you know, it's good. You got to think that he could win 7 rounds at the U.S. Open.
Agassi 1 of 3 so far.
That's exactly what Coach Segura is trying to do with Agassi. You're basically saying, look, for 2 hours every day, just concentrate your brains out, then relax.
Game, Agassi.
Kept it deep on the return to Ivan Lendl. Another break for Andre Agassi as he is up a break now, leading 5-3 and getting ready to serve to close out the first set.
Well, Agassi played a terrible game to lose his serve, and you thought, well, gee whiz, what's going to happen here? And since then, he's just blitzed on Ivan Lendl. Lendl just has made so many unforced errors, just playing rather tentatively in my book. Slicing that backhand, he's played hit a lot into the net with the backhand.
Love 15.
And while Agassi has been very consistent in his game plan, tough to get a feel for the strategy of Ivan Lendl because he has mixed things up a little bit early.
Well, I think that is a good plan. As I said, you know, I don't think he can go stroke for stroke in power against Agassi. I think it's a good idea to mix it up. But he's not controlling the rallies as he's trying to do it.
He was on the baseline. We have learned now a very fine mist is just beginning to fall at the Connecticut Tennis Center.
Could also, there's still sawdust back there beyond the baseline every time this man, Lendl, digs into his pocket to dry off his hands. So it could be that as well.
Yeah, exactly. A good look at the footwork on Andre Agassi's serve. He starts off with the feet spread apart, round about shoulder width apart. Gets the weight on the back foot and gets a good knee bend into the serve. He's not going for anything 111 miles an hour, that last one first serve. What's the knee bend there? And he gets way down, reaches up.
30.
That one 109 miles an hour.
Agassi serving for the set at 5-3 and now 30 all. And Lendl questioning why. They're continuing, and the chair coming down to check out the court conditions. There is not a single umbrella up so far.
Rudy Berger in the chair doesn't seem to think it's anything too bad. And the fans, of course, want them to play on. They've already had to deal with quite a bit of rain in the last several years here.
Thank you. It's just as slippery and the dangerous. I hope you understand it.
Well, Mark Darby, who is the supervisor, is the man that basically makes that final decision. Said it's very misty, but once you get just a little bit of mist on those lines, it becomes slippery and dangerous. And going into the U.S. Open a week or so away, they really don't want to go out there and have an injury like that.
So the players are headed back to the locker room, and play has been suspended, with Agassi serving to close out the opening set.
Absolutely terrific. Then he beat Daniel Nestor, a qualifier in straight
Set, leading 5-3. And we resume play now. You remember the rains came about 40 minutes into the match yesterday.
Play.
At 30 all.
Could be the time and sit down, please. Players are waiting.
I'm sure Agassi will just try to spin these first serves in. Just maybe three-quarter stop like that.
So at that stage, Ivan Lendl really can't afford to go for outright winners on the return and make a couple of errors. And on that occasion, he played a good slice backhand deep into the corner.
Right away, a break point. Can Lendl break back now? Another unforced error, and it looks like the early strategy, the same for Andre Agassi. Extend the points as long as possible. Deuce. He looked very content just to keep it in play and keep Lendl deep at the baseline.
Quite a few of the spectators just taking their time getting settled. A little unnerving for the players, particularly at this stage of the match, because it's such an important game for both players. For
Rudy Berger, the problem is someone's got some music going on out there. Someone's got a boombox or something. It's distracting.
That's it.
Was the background music for one of Andre's commercials. Maybe they could continue, but I believe it's a different tune. Exceptional first serve. And that has been the key for Ivan Lendl coming into this quarterfinal match. Number one in percentage of first service points won.
Yeah, neither player had lost serve before this set all throughout the tournament.
interesting serve there from Agassi, because he spun a couple in the first 2 points and then went to the big one and another one.
It's long in the first set. Belongs to the number 10 seed, Andre Agassi. Agassi opens with that 6-3 win in the first set. Be right back for the start of the second set. 6-3 victory in the first set. Down the center tee.
15 love.
Perfect placement by Lendl. Well, the weather has been a factor all week long, so why not today, even though we don't have rain? The wind has really kicked up.
Oh! 15 all.
Little bit of an indication it's gusting, though, and gusting a good 15 to 20 miles an hour at times. 15 all.
30-15.
This is the 7th meeting between Andre Agassi and Ivan Lendl. Lendl has won all but one. Their most recent meeting at the Canadian Open back in 1992. Two of those, you have to remember, though, early in Agassi's career.
You have to remember, Joe, that the first 5 wins Lendl had over Agassi. Agassi wasn't even past the age of 19. The one time they played up late last year, Agassi took him down 6-love in the third at the Canadian Open. And again, Ivan Lendl just not moving well enough to stay behind the pace of the Agassi shot.
30 all.
And that was brought about by a good second serve on that occasion that Agassi couldn't get a rip at. And again, the players, anything around that service line, they hit for winners these days.
Oh. 40-30. Yesterday, Agassi, as often as possible, tried to keep it to the Lendl backhand. That's the way it starts out today, as that one was long, and Lendl holds to start the second set. This is the opening set to Agassi here in the quarterfinals this afternoon. Held to open the second set, and maybe this was the question from the riders for Ivan Lendl frequently over the last few weeks.
You lost to who? Yeah, he's had a real rough time. The ones that really burn him, of course, is that he lost to Stéphane Houet at the first round of the French, and at the second round of Wimbledon. He lost to Arnaud Birch as well, but as you can see, there's a lot of players there who keep him down. It was just a real big surprise. I think that Ivan Lendl plays much better against someone like Agassi, someone who's better known and somebody that he doesn't particularly pal around with at all. As I said yesterday, these two are not Lodge brothers by any stretch of the imagination.
Winner on the forehand side. You bring up a great point, though, Mayor. At his stage of his career now for Ivan Lendl at 33 and 8 Grand Slam titles, it's got to be difficult at times to prepare for players he's never heard of and doesn't know much about.
I think it's tough for him to prepare for anybody these days. You know, he's been on the tour for such a long while, and he still goes about his business very professional. He still brings Tony Rocho. They work many, many hours on conditioning and practice. But, you know, 11 years out there with a bag full of Grand Slam titles, and as Lendl it says, hey, I only worry about the Grand Slams, and he figures he's got a chance going into New York in a couple of weeks.
30 all.
And ace for Agassi, and you're alluding to the quote from Ivan Lendl where they asked him about, was he upset about his ranking, falling out of the top 10 the first time since basically 1980. He was out a short period of time last year, but starts currently ranked number 11. He goes, I don't care about rankings. I just care about how I do in the Grand Slams.
40-30.
40-30. A nice deep return that time by Ivan Lendl.
Smacks this forehand, he gets the short ball, and talks so much about the way the game has changed in the last couple of years. Ivan Lendl had that going about 10 years ago. Oh, yeah.
Backhand down the line for Agassi.
Advantage, Agassi.
He really prepares so well. Good shoulder turn, the elbow all the way back, nearly as far as the belly button there. That's what I try and keep folks to. You get that good shoulder turn, and then he's balanced and rips that one down the line. Just good timing.
Advantage Agassi.
Anything, Mary, I feel with this type of play that Agassi is coming along with now with Segura's help, he's going to have to be a lot fitter because he's going to hit many, many more balls than he has been used to playing.
successful approach by Ivan Lendl.
Advantage Lendl.
And a break opportunity.
Normally, Agassi would have tried to rip that one there, exactly that one for a winner, and he got it back into play, and this allowed Lendl to come in on a short ball and dominate from the net position.
Huge.
Agassi comes through in a big way with a big serve.
Yeah, that's an area that, you shouldn't miss that return on a break point opportunity. Lendl's had enough experience to know 108 miles an hour. It was straight at him.
What about the second serve he had on break point when the match resumed?
Deuce number 3. And a double fault by Agassi is his third. The second break point now in this game for Ivan Lendl. Can he capitalize?
Same shot, exactly the same shot again.
At almost the same speed.
Yeah.
The last one 108, that 107 miles per hour. Deuce number 4. Still has the power behind that backhand at 33 years of age.
Advantage
One of his
Lendl.
trademark shots.
And Andre Agassi was too far beyond the baseline to react quickly enough to this shot. Lendl let it rip. He's got a lot of upper body strength. He's such a fit man. But Agassi just wasn't tracking that ball and wasn't alert enough to jump on it.
Third break point in this game.
Yeah, and if Van Lendl doesn't start converting, he's gonna kill himself. He's had chances in the last couple of games to break Agassi. And there's another one that floats. Again, not good enough footwork.
Well, he's also 20 feet behind the baseline. Yeah. He had to keep the ball, in my mind, in play a little bit more than that. But you're right, he was not on balance when he tried to play that shot. And to hit a winner from 20 feet behind the baseline is not on too many times with these fellas. Deuce number 5.
Advantage Lendl.
It almost looked like Agassi had problems. You were talking about footwork, getting into position for that shot.
And with Agassi, though, it's just his concentration, I think, that sometimes lets him down. And his strokes are firing well. But it's what Coach Segura says he still does too much of. He drifts in and out of concentration, and that's been his problem.
There's the wind.
That tall.
Yeah, the wind took that too.
He's lucky he didn't try to hit that one.
There it is.
Was that set up beautifully?
Well, you see what happened. Agassi once again took control of the court, and Lendl well beyond the baseline, trying to react defensively, trying to react quickly enough. Look where Agassi is. He's towing the line there. He's right on the baseline, taking the ball earlier than Lendl, hitting it harder, and dragging him off the court.
Wider and wider as that rally went on. He was 2 steps wider every time he sliced a backhand, and eventually he had so much room down the forehand side that he let rip.
Advantage Agassi.
Well, Lendl's had so many opportunities. He had a break point and when they came back in at 5-3 in the first set, lost that, and he had 4 break point opportunities here in this game and hasn't been able to convert.
Game Agassi.
And ace closes it out for Andre Agassi. As we are on serve, even at a game apiece in the second set. Agassi took the opening set 6-3, and the match so far by the numbers.
6-3 the first set to Agassi there. The stats first serves, 54%. Agassi's gone up a little bit. Lendl 46, not good. Winners and errors tell their own story there. Too many unforced errors from Ivan Lendl, and they're just about equal as far as winners are concerned.
Pretty ugly numbers. That was not a classic first set.
An ace to start things off for Ivan Lendl. But I think it goes back to what Pancho Segura told us all, that strategy is what he's working on most with Andre Agassi, and it looks like it's paying off, that he's setting up the points very nicely, and he's showing some patience out there. Tough return by Agassi. And courtside once again, Andre Agassi's coach, Pancho Segura.
And it's not an easy fit, frankly, the Segura-Agassi duo. I mean, Pancho's about 50 years older than Andre, and Agassi, I think, at times questions whether Segura is, into the 90s and understands that Agassi, very, very idiosyncratic player, has his own way of doing things, and relies on instinct much more than this sort of thing, playing the numbers.
From Lendl after all those returns to the backhand side from Agassi.
Agassi's trying to break down this backhand side, but Lendl comes up, rips open the point with a big top spin from way beyond the baseline. He opened up his shoulders and went for it, and Agassi didn't even start to track it down.
So the averages there are not on for him to keep making those. He's tried 4 of those and made 1 out of 4.
40-15.
You just talked about the fitness, Fred, of Ivan Lendl at 33. He still seems to have all the power that he had 10 years ago. And that last serve, 112 miles an hour from Ivan Lendl. Lendl holds, leads 2-1 in the second set. Serve in the second set.
Jim Westall, the tournament chairman's had a lot of problems here, but one of the tragic things that happened during the week was the loss of Sean Sloane's dad. Sean Sloane, the very popular tournament referee here since the inception of the tournament, lost his dad on Thursday. So, Sean, we just want to let you know that all your buddies here, the legends from Laser and Rosewall and Emma and myself and the rest of the guys, send our sympathy and condolences to you and your mum and family. Very well respected here by all the players, and he started with Jim Westall when this event got off the ground in 1973.
15 all.
This is where Mary's alluded to the things that have happened to Ivan Lendl over the years. He's looking for that one back into the backhand corner, and Agassi keeps pulling him wider and wider, and then he's been so successful when he's ripped that backhand down. This is a good look from the front as to how the tactical maneuvers, how they use the court, how the players will try, and if we get a decent rally here, you can see how Agassi has his tactics against Lendl in this match.
30 all.
Nice return by Lendl. 30 all.
This is now a must for Ivan Lendl. Andre Agassi doesn't play too many doubles tournaments. He won with Peter Korda last week. And again, an opportunity for Lendl goes awry with an ace from Agassi.
Lendl upset.
Is that the ball I just showed you? No. Okay. Can you change this guy? Does the same guy who the other day made 2 mistakes on the service line, please? Same man?
Another break point denied Ivan
Over there in
Lendl.
that corridor. No.
Rudy Berger isn't moving the linesman. Lendl is asking for him to get his eyes checked.
He's asked
For him to be removed, I
Yeah, I
believe.
well, they won't remove him, but sometimes they'll change him around.
They'll
They'll put a baseline man back on that one, and they'll swap positions. But Rudy Berger this day's not having anything to do with that.
Rudy knows more than anything if Ivan's aggravated with himself. He's had so many break point chances, and he hasn't been able to break through. But Agassi is sure giving him a lot of looks at second serves.
Advantage Agassi.
And that's stayed.
That one right on the line.
He's won about 5 points. You can see Lendl moving over to the backhand side. He'd taken the first step over there, and Agassi came back in behind him for the winner.
Game
And an
Agassi.
ace to hold to Andre Agassi, his 5th. But another break opportunity in that game for Ivan Lendl, and he certainly hasn't been able to take advantage of those.
And what's really frustrating Lendl there is when he gets those opportunities, misses a couple. Then the last couple of service games, Agassi's come back and finished it off with an ace.
Two all now in the second set.
That's far long. I think the
That
frustration.
was downwind.
Yeah, I think the frustration, Fred, for Lendl is that Agassi's giving him second serves, which set him up for break point, and then he comes up with the heat again when he's break point down. Ivan, pretty acrobatic move for him there.
30 low.
And now 30 low. This has been the problem with Andre Agassi, I think, of late. Not only this week, but in the last several weeks. He plays well for sets at a time. You know, he doesn't stay constant, doesn't keep, you know, constant pressure on his opponents. And that, again, is something Segura thinks he's going to have to improve upon with the U.S. Open just about a week away now.
Produced a beautiful angle on his 5th ace of the match. 40 love.
Another thing Segura said to Segura said to Agassi, look, this is very simple. Every second serve point, you should win. And there's one of them. And he also thinks that Agassi should have his own, every first serve that you could possibly get in, get in. It makes things very simple.
Yeah,
He'll win a lot of matches that way.
Tell you what, if Agassi could do everything Segura wanted, he wouldn't lose too many.
That's what I'm saying.
40-30.
Oh, boy. That's number 2.
Second double fault for Ivan Lendl. 40-30. 2 straight points now for Andre Agassi. So we're on serve in the second set.
Huge.
Boy, how things can turn around. 40 love lead. And it's evaporated very quickly.
112 mile an hour serve, and what a reply by Andre Agassi on the backhand side. Deuce.
Advantage Lendl.
Earlier we were talking about the rankings of Lendl, or the ranking for Andre Agassi at 22 right now. At one point it was 31. Last week 28 before Cincinnati in the semifinal loss to Chang. When he asked Agassi about it, he said, feels like I'm starting over in many ways, and it's not so bad either. Fresh start.
Game Lendl.
An place for Lendl to hold. But some anxious moments at the same time. He leads 3-2 in the second set.
And that does get tiring, and it's definitely not easy. And and you deal with a lot of things off court that normal athletes or they just deal with their sport. It seems like I have to deal with 90% of my questions aren't about it. Poses obstacles for me too. But as I get older, I think I'm learning to balance this, and I won't feel good about my career unless I can spend a few years feeling like I am playing my best tennis. And that's what I'm using this time for. I'm really trying to get myself to the place where I feel like I'm maximizing my ability, and that's all anybody can really expect from me, and that's all I expect from myself.
Sounds like a very mature Andre Agassi.
He's just not moving his feet well either today. Andre's legs look a bit too leaden as well. I think he's just got to wake up a little bit.
Just inside the line.
This time he takes the half-court ball and snaps it. That's a curve ball. It wasn't in until it hit the ground. Looked as though it was going out wide. Came back in. But played within himself, that one. Didn't try and do too much with it. Didn't try and overpower that forehand.
And as we saw in the last graphic, he's handled the pressure very well, facing 6 break points over his last 3 service games. 30-15.
40-15.
The last service game, a very tight one for Agassi. Not so far this time. 40-15.
40-30.
Lendl is in around the service line. See how he moves forward on that one. When he meets that ball, he's just barely behind the baseline, but moving forward so he gets that body weight into the shot. Not on that occasion. He just has not handled that backhand return of serve on the deuce court. You can see him there saying, hey, turn the shoulders, turn the body. He's just not moving his feet to do that.
So Agassi holds. We are even at 3 in the second set after Agassi took the opening set 6-3, and we will take you later today to where the surf meets in the 9-event American Championship Racing Series. They'll run it a 1.25 miles. $1 million guaranteed the purse. 3-year-olds and up. Fred, you'll give us your pick a little bit later in the telecast. Hitting behind Lendl.
Love 15.
This one hits the top of the tape, and you can see Lendl scampering back cross court. He's looking for that big forehand, and the looping forehand goes back down the line behind him. I think Lendl's a bit mesmerized as to the tactics that Agassi's using.
Love 13.
Now Lendl is changing tactics. Rather than slicing the ball the last couple of rallies, he's decided to come over the backhand, but he's lost control and is in trouble now.
Love 30.
It's become more obvious now to Ivan Lendl that he's not going to win the protracted rallies against Agassi. So he has to go for riskier shots. Probably won't win too many of them either. Again, pulled way beyond the baseline, out of position.
Agassi has truly controlled the center of the court and dictated the tempo. Tony Roach, the coach for Ivan Lendl. And now a triple break opportunity for Andre Agassi.
Thank you. 15-40.
That's what he has to do, Ivan Lendl, and that's what he did for so long in men's tennis. He was a big threat on the first ball he struck in a rally, whether it was his service or his return of serve.
Well, that was his 7th ace. Still a double break point.
That's the big problem for Ivan Lendl. As you say, Joel, he's got the power he had 10 years ago, but there are dozens of men's tennis players now who have equal or more power. It's part of the pack now. Agassi didn't even begin to make a move for the big Lendl backhand.
13-40.
Agassi seems absolutely convinced that the Lendl backhand cannot hold up.
He has staved off 2 break points.
That was his bread and butter shot a few years ago, that backhand down the line. Look at that, Lendl 1 of 7, Agassi 2 of 6.
Opens the door for Agassi as he breaks through. Up a break, Agassi leading now in the second set, 4-3. Game for Lendl.
15 love.
Last one was the one that was more crucial. Dropped his serve, just served 1 ace in that.
13 love.
And now Agassi picking up the pace, just 108 miles an hour, but in the right spot.
It's good news for Andre Agassi. They seed 16 at the U.S. Open, which begins a week from Monday.
Back-to-back aces for Agassi. He has 7 now.
Game Agassi.
3 straight aces for Agassi. Just a little mo, a lot of momentum for Agassi. Trying to knock off a number 2 seed. And he's leading 5-3 now in the second set. Well, Jim Courier has made his way to the semifinals in Indianapolis. So with his quarterfinal victory, he has regained the number 1 ranking in the world. They'll set that up on Monday.
15 love.
Well, that was pretty close in Cincinnati. Had Courier done a little better in Cincinnati, he threatened Sampras there. And this week, Courier's still in the event in the semi-finals. Sampras lost to Australia's Patrick Rafter.
40 love.
Patrick Rafter's ranked 139 in the world as he took out the number 1 player. First serve percentage is not good, under 50% for Ivan Lendl. He wins 83% of those points when he gets that delivery in, but only 31% on second serves. That just shows you how good the Agassi return is.
The volley was there for Ivan Lendl.
40 love.
Love.
Game Lendl.
So Lendl holds at love. But when we come back, Andre Agassi will be serving to close out the match. In frustration on the face of Tony Roach, looking for some answers for Ivan Lendl. What a time for a mistake like that. It's been a series of mistakes, though, for Ivan Lendl.
Unforced errors there from Lendl. Made a few against my son, but he's made twice as many against Agassi.
30 love.
9 aces now for Andre Agassi. He had 3 in his last service game.
3 in a row. He's just served extremely well today, Agassi, and they're all been around that 108, 110 mile an hour range.
Triple match point now for Andre Agassi. And strategy-wise, Fred, it almost looks like we're watching a different Andre Agassi.
Well, Agassi came to the net there. It was not a great volley, but he put the pressure on Lendl. And Lendl couldn't come up with a passing shot. 40 love now.
Foul!
14-15.
The backhand answer. It seems like when Lendl, even during long rallies, when Lendl is gone with the backhand down the line to the forehand side of Agassi, it has paid off. Double match point now at 40-15.
Game, set, and match, Agassi.
Agassi closes it out on his 10th ace and his 5th over his last 2 games.
Lendl still checking the mark there. Wouldn't have made any difference to this result, though. At 40 love, 40-15. Agassi just served very, very well today. And came back, won that first game to give him the opening set. And that was the important one. Lendl had a break point opportunity, and Lendl had so many 5 break point opportunities in the second set, was not able to convert one. He leaves the court in a hurry, and he's got to be a little bit disappointed in his efforts today because he worked his way around to get those break points and then couldn't convert.
So Andre Agassi winning in straight sets at 3 and 4. And we'll be right back as we continue on.